Hello! Welcome to Anime Mystics. I'm Roman, and tonight I am watching Goblin Slayer Episode 6. So, last episode was a pretty laid back episode. We didn't really focus too much on Goblin Slayer in this one. He had a few scenes, but not a whole lot. Mainly focusing on some of the other characters, mostly the two porcelain ranks that we saw in episode 2. And the same two that went up to the priestess and asked her if she wanted to join their group, since she's a porcelain as well, and tried to convince her not to stay with Goblin Slayer. We find the guy in the group, the warrior, I guess you would call him, I don't know. Maybe just standard adventurer. Lose his sword while trying to kill some giant rats in the sewers. It gets stuck in the rat's side, and he's unable to get it out. And then another rat was about to attack him, but the girl that's with him uses a holy smite and kills it. But then they are surrounded. Well, not really surrounded, but then a bunch of giant, I'm assuming they're cockroaches, show up and start eating the rat, and they run off, where they're told that they don't get any reward because they didn't finish the quest. Not even a partial reward for killing at least two rats. It's not like, I think in Konosuba you actually got a partial reward if you killed a certain amount. I could be mistaken about that. Anyway, we see Cowgirl show up at the guild to drop off another shipment of cheese and other dairy products, where Goblin Slayer is helping to unload the truck. Well, the back of the cart. I want to say truck, but they don't have trucks. Unloading the back of the cart. Lizard Man, the dwarf, and the high elf show up, and they're asking if he should be up walking around, already, since it's been 3 days. He was asleep for 3 days after that whole ogre situation. That's where the Lizard Man basically says that he wanted a favor and wanted a certain item, and Goblin Slayer is like, what kind of item? And the dwarf and high elf are like, oh, he wants cheese. It's all he's been talking about these last 3 days. So Goblin Slayer hands him a block of cheese, although it was round, so it's technically not a wheel of cheese, I guess is what it would be called. And tells him you can just pay the guild, when you go up there. And then the archer asks him, the elf, says that they're going to survey some ruins, and they might ask him to come along. And he's like, I'll think about it. And she gets super excited, and is like, yeah, you go ahead and do that, and walks off. The dwarf is like, you're being really difficult. Why don't you just ask him to come along? And she throws a rock at him, telling him to shut up or she'll shoot him. Meanwhile, the other two adventurers, the guy is trying to find another weapon. He's trying to borrow one so that he can go back into the sewer and get his sword back. Because they have no money, so they can't go buy another sword. He tried asking Spearman if he could borrow a weapon from him. And he tells him, I have other weapons that I could lend you, but I don't think they won't work with you because you're not strong enough. The witch, however, after digging in her cleavage, pulls out a candle and says that it gets closer to the item that you are looking for. So basically, whatever item they're thinking of, the candle will get hotter the closer they are to it. She's basically telling him, you could either use it to go find your sword, or you could sell it for some money and maybe buy a new sword. Because she did say you could also sell it for money, basically suggesting, you can just buy another sword if you wanted. But no, they end up using it to go back into the sewer and look for his sword. He really likes that sword, I guess. He did ask another group if he could borrow a sword from them. But they said no, because he's using a loner sword too, and he would not be happy if he lent it to somebody else and they lost it. Then they went to the guild girl and asked her, what's the best way to deal with the rats? And they're like, well, I mean, if it was that easy, we wouldn't be asking adventurers to go into the sewers and kill them, would we? But then says, you can always ask another adventurer for advice. And they see Goblin Slayer over at a table. I think it's his normal table that he's usually at. And they're kind of hesitant to go up and talk to him. And they said it's because they were kind of rude to him before. And the guild girl's like, oh, you don't need to worry about that. He doesn't care. So they go over and talk to him. Basically saying, we had a question that we wanted to ask. And he's like, okay, what is it? And he's like, how do you kill, like, an enemy if you don't have your weapon? If you lose your weapon? And he's like, steal one from a goblin. He's like, we're not fighting goblins. He's like, oh, okay. Or, in his words, I see. And says, have you ever used anything other than a sword? The guy says, no. He's okay, well, why don't you try using a club? And the guy's like, would it work on giant rats? And bugs? And Goblin Slayer's like, I guess so. I mean, if anything, I know if you hit them with it, it'll hurt. So, when they do end up going back into the sewer with the candle, he has a club with him. Because basically it was the best idea they had gotten. And the cheapest one, because they could just find, like, any heavy piece of wood or something and take it to the sewer with them as a club. Or even, like, iron rod or something would work. But that wouldn't technically be a club, I guess. Anyway, they're in the sewer, and they kill another 2 rats. Oh, no, they kill one more rat. He kills one by beating it to death with his club. And then they are swarmed by all of the bugs that fall down from the sewer. And they start running away again. The girl hates bugs. Every time she sees them, she starts screaming. And they end up running. And they go into this narrow, like, alleyway that's in the sewer, where most of the bugs actually run past it, but a few of them run into the alley. And she ends up killing most of them using Holy Smite, which she said in the beginning that she's only able to use once a day. It does not kill the big bug that's with him. He ends up having to go over there, beat it with the club, and then use a dagger to cut it, like, stab it, because the sword's inside of this huge bug. He must have eaten it when he was eating the rat. Stabs the bug, and I'm assuming just cuts him open. That would be the only way to go about it. Also, Priestess got a promotion. I can't remember the name of the rank. I think it's Obsidian or something like that. Goblin Slayer ranks. Yeah, Obsidian. Okay. I was right. I'm surprised. So yeah, she made it to Obsidian, where she mentions, helping fight an ogre apparently helps when you want to go up in rank. And then she properly thanks him for everything, basically. Saving her life, to which he said, well, I mean, the rest of your party died, though. And she's like, yeah, but, you still saved me. So she thanked him for that. thanked him. It's basically just a thanks for everything. Taking her along with him on the quests, teaching her everything that he knows about goblins, saving her life, just everything basically. And then she goes on her way to go tell the, I think she said Mother Superior at the temple about her promotion. And then he gets called by the guild girl to help out with a like a promotion interview. They have this other adventurer coming in to be promoted, or what? It's like an evaluation to see if he's able to go up in rank. I'm assuming he was Obsidian. Could be wrong. I don't think they ever said. Anyway, he was I think they called him a Rhea. And I guess they're not really trusted very well. But he was in there and going on about how he should probably just be promoted to, I think it was Ruby, or even just skip all that and go to Bronze. And they're like, yeah, that's not how this works. And they're like, okay, well, we've noticed that you have some really nice like new boots and like adventuring outfit. And he starts going on about how great they are and how I think the boots are lined with something. And she's like, okay, how are you able to afford all of this if everybody gets the same amount of pay for the quests? And he says that, stuttering, I should say, that he asked his parents for money, and they sent him some money. The other guild girl that sits to the right of her, or the left of her, at the desk, says that that's a lie. She is able to use a technique called sense lie, which tells her when somebody is lying. He did not realize that, so he got caught in a lie. And the guild girl is like, okay, so what happened is you were on a quest with your group. You came across a treasure chest and took the money for yourself and left the rest of your team. Which is basically what happened. I remember in the manga they actually show this happen. I think they got killed. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive that his group ended up getting killed. Anyway, after that, they tell him, okay, well, I'm not gonna keep you from being an adventurer. However, I think you deserve a demotion back to porcelain, and you are basically banned from getting quests in this city. So he's been kicked out of the city as an adventurer. He has to go some other place to be an adventurer, and he's back to being a porcelain rank. And he starts trying to get Goblin Slayer to side with him, and he's like, I'm just an observer. That's all I'm here for. And the guy's trying to plead with him, you're an adventurer too, though, so help me out. And he's like, yeah, but you tricked other adventurers, so no. And the guy starts thinking about killing the guild girl. They even show him get his sword, his little knife, and charge at her. But then Goblin Slayer gets up, grabs his hand, and punches him in the face. But it was all him thinking about what would happen if he tried that, and he ended up just leaving, saying that she would pay, or they would pay for that. Then she thanks Goblin Slayer for his work, for being somebody, just being there, because she actually trusts him, and it was a lot better having somebody that she trusted in the room observing than just some random person. And then he leaves. She tells him that she can get his money down at the counter, and her friend starts talking to her, and brings up the Sword Maiden, who was one of the adventurers who helped defeat the Demon Lord, or Demon King, whatever you want to call him. and then asks the guild girl, so that other guy, the Goblin Slayer, he's the guy you like, right? And at first it was like she was going to lie about it, but there would be no point, seeing as how she can sense lies, and if she told her it wasn't, she would know anyway. So she just came out and said it. Yeah, that's right. So what? Anyway, a little later after that, they were still talking, but a little after that, Goblin Slayer comes back with this letter and says that he's going to go kill some goblins. And Guild Girl, through like narration basically, is saying how it's a special quest that was specifically asking for Goblin Slayer. And they had no idea who sent it. However, they do show you the back of the Sword Maiden, which is basically telling you she's the one asking him to come to wherever she is to deal with some goblins. Another 16 minutes to explain this. But yeah. Looking forward to this episode. So let's just get into it now, since I spent enough time talking. Alright, so the video is going to be located over here. And the link to the reaction is going to be in the description down below. Okay, what's the volume like? We're good. Alright, and we're going to start this episode in 3, 2, 1.